I'm quite glad that you are asking this question, because if you really want to write a good proposal, not having a clarity on this basic of output and outcome will compromise all the efforts that you are putting in writing a proposal. And there are particular training programs particularly focus on LFA. In future, if there is a requirement, I will request organization to have a session on LFA, but here we will again repeat it here. So let's go back to my presentation. Okay. So output is something, or output is a result that is tangible immediately on the completion of the activity. So my activity, and I will go here. Let me take an example of LFA, of our project. So it's easy to understand. See, this is the simplest LFA. I have taken a very simple example. I'm using a very simple LFA. In real life, LFAs are much more complicated. But here, our training is not on LFA. Our training is writing a grant proposal. So I think using a simple LFA will help us to understand the importance of this component. So your activity is build 4 toilet blocks. So when this activity is completed, what donors will be expecting, or grant making agencies will be expecting? That there are 4 new functional and gender segregated toilet blocks are built and operational. Now this is extremely important. What you as an implementing partner are committing here, it's built and operational, and again gender segregated, because you said that the problem that we are trying to address is a gender problem. Our target audience is adolescent girls, right? Your particular target audience is adolescent girls. So gender segregation was something that you wrote it in a problem statement, or you also mention it in your objective, right? Objective. So your output is gender segregated. So let's say that you have said that the activity build 4 toilet blocks will be completed in year 1. So if it is a 2-year project and donor wants to visit your project area, if they are coming at the end of year 1 where you're committed to finish the 4 toilets, they will monitor your output. They will not monitor your outcome. Outcome is something that they will be expecting at the end of the project. So output is something that will be delivered immediately, right? Now what happens as soon as the toilets are constructed, girls will see that, okay, now the toilets is providing them the safe environment. Now these toilets are providing them the privacy. Then they will start using this toilet. Once they start using this toilet, they will feel that now there is no need to take leave, because I am getting the privacy and the facilities to address my menstrual needs, right? So then girls' school absenteeism related to menstruation is reduced by 40%, right? Now, sorry, 60%. So this 60% is something that implementing organization putting it as a target to the donor. Now this is makes very appealing. You can also write girls' absenteeism will be reduced. But when you give a number, donor likes it, that okay, you are putting a target. So what you are saying that beside doing this, I am not claiming that my entire problem will be solved, that all the girls who were staying absent will start using the toilet. That doesn't happen in a real life. So you are saying that okay, at least 60% girls will start doing it, right? So that's an outcome. Now after construction of the toilet, it might require another 3 months, 4 months, 6 months for that outcome to be delivered, or even 1 year for that outcome to be delivered. So outcome will not come immediately after the activity is over. After activity is over, output will be delivered, and then outcome will be delivered after a few months. So what is the logical framework, right? Logic framework means that in this entire table, there is a logic. Logic that you have when you do a primary needs assessment, you talk to the beneficiary, and then beneficiary, that adolescent girls has said that if the toilet is provided, I will come for the Friday. Then you have very precisely identified that not availability of the functional toilet, a toilet that provide privacy, is a core issue. Then you can build that logic that by providing the toilet, I am very much sure that girls will start coming. That's the logic, right? So activity will translate into an output, and after output, outcome will automatically come. If you're only doing a secondary research, not doing a primary research, not talking to the beneficiaries for who you are designing the project, it is very likely that activity will translate into the output, but output will not translate into the outcome. Let me give you an example. For example, parents of these adolescent girls, they believe that during menstrual, girls will not go out. There are some religious reasons for it. There are cultural practices. And if you are not doing anything for the parents, as we have not planned anything here for the parents, we have planned for the teachers and students, but the issue was with the parents. then even if you construct the toilet, your absenteeism will not get reduced, because it's the decision making power is not only with the girls. The decision making power is with their parents. Even after constructing the toilet, if they don't allow girl to attend the school, then your absenteeism will continue. So when you do a primary research, when you talk to the target beneficiary, you have to talk why this problem is occurring. It's only the toilet, or there are any other reasons. If you discuss that, and if adolescent girls are saying that our family also doesn't allow, then I will add one more activity here: sensitization program for the parents also. Because if I don't do that, my output will never translate into the outcome, and my project will fail. That's why it's extremely important to do a primary research. Talk to your target beneficiary. And believe me, majority of the implementing partner writes proposal without talking to the target beneficiary. And they feel that because they have been in this sector for 10 years, 15 years, they understand the problem very well, and they can represent the issues of their target population very well. I respect that experience, but my humble submission is that make a visit, spend 1 day, 2 day with your target beneficiary and try to understand. This will, so I am now clear what is output and outcome. And in LFA, you can see for all the three activities, we have given an output. So second is conduct 20 menstrual hygiene management program. Who will benefit from it? 500 adolescent girls will complete this program. And what will happen? 80% of the trained girls adopt improved and safe hygiene practice. So when you do a workshop, what you are doing? You are addressing the concerns of the adolescent girls. You are providing them the new knowledge. You are providing them the information. You are trying to understand what are their barriers for not adopting this practice. So there can be certain beliefs that you are trying to address. So when output is that now 500 adolescent girls have a complete training program, and now slowly they will start applying that knowledge in their life, and this will increase. The trained girls will adopt the improved safe hygiene practices, because now infrastructure is available. You have constructed a toilet. Now there is a change in the knowledge which has led to the change in the behavioral, and hence the 80% of girls are adopting the improved safe hygiene practice. Now third, train 100 teachers. So we said that there is just, you can't just train. You also have to train a teacher. So if there are a concern after the workshop, adolescent girls can speak to the teachers, and teachers can be a mentor or a guide to provide them ongoing support after the workshop is over, so that the chances of behavioral change and practices are much higher. And all these three outcomes, when it is achieved, it will lead to a larger impact of the project, which is higher school retention rates and improved educational equity for the girls. So now there is a reduction in the absenteeism. Girls are attending school regularly, which means that they will continue their education, which means that now the retention rate is much higher. If retention rate is much higher, if girls are completing their education, it's an equity in education. Now earlier dropout rates were lower in the boys, higher in the girls. Now probably it will be the same. So that's an impact. So impact is generally the consolidated impact of all the outcomes, right? So when you are doing an LFA, so this is what you envisage, how project will be implemented on ground. Now sometimes some of the output will translate into an outcome. Like if there was a problem of families not allowing girls to go to the school during menstrual issues, and you have not anticipated that issues because you have not made a field visit. Now this toilet block will be constructed, but the absenteeism will continue. So your project is delivering all the output. You have constructed 4 toilets, you have trained girls, you have trained 100 teachers, but absenteeism has not reduced by 60%. In 40% of the family, let's say family didn't have a problem, so they start using the toilet facility during menstrual period. But there was a part of students in the school whose parents are still not allowing. So your outcome is fully not achieved, or is not achieved at all, right? So when impact assessment is carried out by a donor, they will say, okay, output has been achieved. आपने output तो achieve कर लिया है, लेकिन outcome नहीं किया. So your project will be partially successful, not fully successful, right? That's how a monitoring evaluation person or third-party evaluation will use their LFA. So whenever a donor is coming for a project visit, or they are deploying a third-party organization, and I generally go for this third-party evaluation, we use this LFA. We go with just one pager, and we try to ask questions to the girls and the school management and the implementing partner to assess whether activities has been completed. If they say yes, we try to see whether all the output has been delivered. We say, okay, take all the output has been delivered. All the outcome has been delivered. No, 3 out of 2 has been delivered, 1 has been delivered. Then we assess why it has not been delivered, right? So we provide feedback to the implementing organization that, okay, you did all the activities. So technically you have completed the project, but it has not resulted into the desired result. Impact wo nahi aaya. So that how evaluation has been carried out. So LFA, logical framework, is a backbone or the science behind your project. You need to put in a lot of time to create this LFA, right? So again, taking a 30-second pause. If anyone has any question on the LFA, I hope that I was able to answer the question related to difference between output and outcome. Dr. Suresa, what is the meaning of AHA? So generally, it's called logical framework analysis. So we are in the full form is logical framework analysis, but in practical people just say LF, logical framework, right? But full form is logical framework analysis, LFA. There is another term which is called result based management, RBM. So some donor will say, what is your strategy for result based management? So it's quite similar to LFA. There are few differences. In some other session we can talk about it. Okay, so I hope that it's clear to all the participants. We will just go to the next slide because I feel I will need more time. Yeah. Okay, so that's an LFA. Now project timeline. I think this is quite simple. Whether people are coming from academic institution, implementing partner, think tank, everybody might have prepared the timeline using a Gantt chart. So what you are trying to do it here, your project is of 2 quarter, excuse me, the project is of 2 quarter, and you are letting donor know that how I will carry out activities in this 8 quarter. Now, sometimes donor will insist for a monthly breakup. Then you have to create 24 rows. Every month you have to deliver. But increasingly, donors are getting mature and they are asking only for the quarterly breakup. So quarterly plan is, if donor is not giving any specific detail, my suggestion will be give quarter-wise breakup. Because what happens that when you are writing a proposal, you are sitting in an office and writing a proposal. When you start implementing that project, there are ground reality, ground challenges. So something that you have budgeted or planned for January might not happen in January and you will do it in February. Or Feb will go in March. If you prepare it monthly, every month there will be a variance, which will create concern for the donor. But if you are preparing quarterly, it gives a little bit of flexibility, and a mature donor will always give you that flexibility because ground challenges are not something that you can anticipate sitting in an office. So quarterly plan is preferred. So you are just giving a donor a picture that first quarter will be project setup. Quarter 2, 3, and 4, I will be spending my time on constructing or building an infrastructure. Quarter 5 and 6 will be spend on capacity building of the teachers, and then 7, 8 quarter I am going to do the menstrual hygiene workshop. So this is how donor will understand the sequence of your activities, right? Now donor will ask why you are doing teachers training first and menstrual hygiene workshop later on. Then you can add a logic for it that I want teachers to be ready so that when I conduct the adolescent girl workshop, if they are not asking questions in the workshop, if they have questions after workshop is over, there are teachers who can guide them, right? So we are creating a enabling environment for them by training this teacher. So sequence will always have a logic. When donor asks you why this is your first activity and why this is your second activity, it's not random. Many times when we design a proposal, the activity that has to be done in, let's say, first is mentioned in the third order or the fourth order. So in Gantt chart, two things are important: sequence of the activities and the timelines, right? Many times there is a dependency between the two activities, right? So building toilet block is the first activity, and then we want to do teacher training workshop and menstrual hygiene workshop, because as soon as they get the knowledge and they want to translate that knowledge into the practice, the infrastructure is ready. If मैं उनको ज्ञान देता हूँ, I'm giving the knowledge, but infrastructure is built at the last, probably they have gained the knowledge, but infrastructure is improved after 1 year, that knowledge will be gone, people will forget, and that won't translate into the behavioral change. So practice, so my logic is that I will first provide an infrastructure, so they get a confidence that school is interested to improve the infrastructure. It's more about us now to start using that infrastructure to solve our problem, right? So there is a sequence, there is a logic which needs to be followed. And the last component, monitoring and evaluation, extremely important. In most of the project timelines, people don't write monitoring and evaluation. Donor is expecting you to monitor project. What is the difference between monitoring and evaluation? Monitoring is you are doing on ongoing basis, right? Every time activities are implemented, you are evaluating whether output has been achieved or not. Evaluation is more related to the long-term impact or outcome. So when I'm doing monitoring, I'm seeing whether activities are completed or not, my outputs are achieved or not, my inputs has been utilized or not. When I evaluate it, I'm looking at a higher level of the result. So outcome or impact. So evaluation won't happen in the early part of the project. Evaluation generally happens in last quarter, or if project is of a longer duration, let's say 5-year project is there, then it's advisable to start evaluation. You should have a midline evaluation in third year or after you have completed 2 years, 6 months kind of thing. And if you feel that, okay, outcomes are not achieved, there are some reasons behind it, so you can change your strategy. Midterm evaluation is important if you have longer duration project and if donor permits the midterm evaluation. If not, then you can do it in quarter 7 or quarter 9 or towards the last quarter of the project. So sometimes we just say that instead of Gantt chart, we just write a narrative that project is of 2 year. First quarter I will do project setup, second quarter I will do build toilet blocks. You can write a narrative, but Gantt chart is a more impressive way of convincing the donor. I strongly recommend these are the Gantt chart that you can create in an Excel. There are ready-made templates available in the Excel. You can just put in the activity and Gantt chart will create it. Use Gantt chart to convey your timeline. There are other tools also, but Gantt chart is the simplest form to convey the timeline to the project. So I recommend to use the Gantt chart. Okay. Now donor is convinced about your problem, happy with your approach, happy with your objective. They are really smart. Timelines are also, LFA is very impressive. Or they get an idea. अभी बात आती है, we all are Indians. कितना देता है? We want to know the average. या तो we want to know how much it is costing us. So most important component, budget and justification. So after donor is convinced with your idea, last thing that he will like to know is how much it is costing me, because donor is making an investment. ये नहीं है, whosoever is investing in a social impact, for them that money is an investment. Investing their money because they want to see some desired change in the society, right? So for them it's an investment. So they want to understand the return on the investment, right? So whenever you're giving a budget, it is extremely important to give little bit more detail. What is important? You can't say that project will cost you 10 lakh rupees, 25 lakh rupees, 1 crore rupees. You have to give itemized budget for everything. How much you will spend for the personal, which means human resource के लिए कितना spend करोगे? Are any equipment that you are going to purchase? If I require a laptop or a computer, then it goes into an equipment. How much I am going to spend on the travel? How much I am going to spend on the program activities? Direct program activities generally mean the interventions that you are directly doing it with the beneficiary or the stakeholder. And what is my overhead? Overhead is an admin cost. So I will have certain admin costs in terms of operating my office. I have to audit the project, so audit reports will be there, electricity bill will be there, internet bills will be there. Those are the overhead. Now there are donors who will have still on this different categories. So there will be donor, like if you go to a big organization like the Commonwealth or even under the CSR project, people will say that your personal cost shouldn't increase 35%. Your equipment could be more than 5%. Your travel shouldn't be more than 20%. So you have to read the donor guideline very minutely and then design your proposal in a way that it doesn't breaches any of the donor guideline. If it breaches the donor guideline, your project will not be accepted. So this is providing a breakup and you are following the donor guideline. Most important thing, provide narrative for the justification. I will say that, okay, my human resources costing 50,000 rupees. Donor will say, by 30,000 में human resource क्यों नहीं मिलता? Then you should have a justification that my human resource that I am planning for program manager, the person needs to be a civil engineer with at least 10 years of experience, XYZ, and the market rate of this is 50,000 minimum, right? Justification has to be realistic. Sometimes we inflate the budget. If we say, भाई donor बहुत बड़ा है, ये तो बहुत बड़ी grant देता है, then even if that intervention is costing me, let's say 5,000 rupees, इसको 6,000 कर दो. We will say put it 6,000 rupees. That is inflation and this is not ethical, and I strongly say don't do it. Do actually the way it is costing you. Sometimes we underestimate it. We feel that I want to be more competitive. My partner or I know another NGO who is going to submit the proposal to the same donor, or uska proposal 25 lakhs ka hai. So if I put it 20 lakhs, my proposal will be selected. So we underestimate our cost. But budget is not only criteria that donor will use for your proposal selection. Remember that. If you underestimate it, and even if your project proposal gets selected, when you are implementing it, you might compromise on delivering the output. Okay, budget kam kiya hai, you won't be able to execute it in a proper way. Your output will be compromised. Your outcome will be compromised. So you will receive grant for the first time, but if your outcome and impacts are compromised, donor will not give you a repeat grant. Your reputation in the ecosystem will be compromised. So make sure that you are not inflating the budget, you are not underestimating the budget. And to do that, you need to research current market rate for everything. If I want to construct a toilet, the rate of constructing a toilet in Mumbai will be different, in Delhi will be different, in Ahmedabad will be different, and a village in Mandal Taluka will be different. A toilet in Ahmedabad will cost 20,000 rupees, in a village it might cost 10,000 rupees. So some kind of ground research has to be done. Second important thing, whenever budgets are prepared, I have observed that the program staff will write the proposal, give it to the finance guy. Finance guy will prepare a budget without any engagement with the program staff or without any ground research. Now there is a disconnect. Your costing will not realistically reflect the ground reality. So budget, though being a financial exercise, it has to be jointly done by the program team and the finance team, or else there will always be compromise or high chances of inflating the budget or underestimating the budget. Okay? So this is important. Last criteria, show value for money. Emphasize how the funds will be used efficiently and create maximum impact. And we will talk about it a little bit in my coming slide. See, donor is investing the money. When you are investing your money, let's say in fixed deposit, you check the three banks. SBI 6.5% interest दे रहा है, HDFC बैंक 7% interest दे रहा है, तो मैं 7% में FD कराऊंगा. We don't even leave the 0.5%. Donor is also going to do it in the same way. If he is giving 25 lakhs to organization A and there is an option to give in to organization B, he will say who is giving me the maximum return on my social return on my investment, right? So that's why not inflating or underestimating is important, and helping donor to understand the value of money is extremely important. This is an example, component 6. Now, I'm not sharing the entire budget. There is a one line item in the budget. So one proposal comes just saying workshop expense, I'll require 100,000 rupees. 1 lakh रुपया मुझे चाहिए. So there is an entire budget जिसमें एक activity है, one line item is saying 100,000 rupees. Now this is not called a good budgeting. Now look at the strong budgeting. The strong budgeting is there is a justification and there is a breakup. So I'm still doing workshop, but in workshop there are three main cost line items. I have to provide participants with a kit. I have to pay to the resource person for honorarium or consultancy fee for the workshop. And there is a refreshment cost for my participant or venue charges. Then I'm letting donor know that my participant kit will cost 30 rupees and there are 500 adolescent girls to be trained. So I will require 15,000 rupees for it. My resource person, for every workshop, I'm paying 3,000 rupees. I am conducting 20 workshops, so it will cost me 60,000 rupees. And during the workshop, we are going to provide refreshment, which will cost 50 rupees per participant. And I'm going to train 500 adolescent girls, which will cost me 25,000 rupees. Okay, total comes 100 lakh rupees. Now, when you give budget in this way, donor is convinced that कहीं पे भी inflate नहीं हुआ, उसको पता चलता है participant kit instead of 30 है, which is very reasonable. Resource person 3,000, it's quite reasonable in the village area. Participant refreshment, fine. So donor will be convinced about amount you are asking. If he or she is having any questions, they can get back to you. But if I say 1 lakh rupees, donor is confused. Okay, out of 1 lakh rupees, how much we are spending on the resource person? See, look at the budget. Out of 1 lakh rupees, 60,000 is spent on the resource person, which is a good quality budget. You are getting a good resource person because success of the workshop depends on the good resource person. So I'm spending 60,000 on workshop. Now there might be another organization who is spending, let's say, participant kit instead of 50,000, they are spending 40,000 rupees. Now, which component is more important? Quality of a resource person is more important, or participant kit is more important? So donor can differentiate whether, as an implementing organization, you have a good sense of investment. Are you making good investment on behalf of the donor? And then there is a justification for every item. So how to prepare a budget? You should have a unit description, unit cost, number of unit, subtotal and total. If you provide this 5 breakup for all activities, 90% of the donor queries will be addressed. And this will give confidence to the donor. So at least your budgets will have this much columns. Unit description. Many people are giving unit cost and number of unit, but don't give unit description. Unit description helps donor to understand it 30 में बोल रहा हूँ या तो मैं 500 बोल रहा हूँ क्या है. So when I say 500, these are the participants that I am referring to. So this is an ideal breakup of a budget for a donor. Okay. Now when we talk about the budget, now this is increasingly happening. Donor use one criteria they call cost per beneficiary, and they use it as a criteria for selection of the proposal. Now this is not the only criteria, but one of the criteria that they use it. Why I'm repeating this statement? Some people try to be very efficient and they try to reduce cost per beneficiary and they underestimate the cost. Don't do that. But I'm just letting you know that this is a criteria that people are using it. What does it do? How efficiently are we using our resources to create a change, right? What is the simple definition of cost per beneficiary? It is the total, sorry, the slide has a problem. I think the total cost will be numerator and denominators will be the total number of the beneficiary. My apologies for that. So you are saying total cost of the project divided by total number of the beneficiary. So if I'm spending 10 lakhs for the project, I'm reaching out to 500 beneficiary. I require X number of, right? So this is cost beneficiary. So if there are 5 proposals with the donor, everybody exactly addressing the same problem, with same objective, with same activities and same impact, then donor is going to compare the cost per beneficiary. If donor is happy with all other component of the proposal, then donor will look at the cost per beneficiary कि ये 2000 में करके दे रहा है. There is another organization who is charging 1500 rupees. Then they probably might go for the 1500 rupees if all other parameters are same. But that generally doesn't happen. But this is a very important parameter for budget. So in your proposal, you can always give cost per beneficiary even if the donor has not asked. Okay. Again, another aspect of the budget and justification. Why donor look at cost per beneficiaries? So donor use this metrics because they want to assess value for their money, social return on the investment, right? Whether I'm getting a proper return or not. Most important, they want to compare the project. See, when I begin this session, I said that they are not receiving 5, 10 or 20 proposals. In today's time, whenever there is a request for proposal, they are receiving in hundreds and thousands. And most of the proposals in a first phase are sorted by the junior level staff and then senior level staff make a decision. And with emerging AI, now they are shortlisted through AI. This structure becomes even more effective. We are not talking about AI in this session, but that's an increasing trend now. So they compare the project. So cost for beneficiary is one of the criteria that can help your proposal to be having a higher probability of getting selected. Evaluate efficiency, right? Whether efficiently resources are required or not. Most important, forecast for the scale. So if donor like your idea, that problem is important, the approach is important, then they will say that, okay, if this project is successful, मुझे उसको पूरे इंडिया में लेके जाना है. Today I'm only doing it in Maharashtra, but then I want to scale it at an India level in, let's say, 10 another states. Then they exactly know that, okay, how much a single project or single beneficiary is costing me. So today I am doing a project with only 500 beneficiary, but tomorrow if I want to scale it for 50 lakh beneficiary, मुझे कितना budget चाहिए? They can plan the resources accordingly. So donor also use it for looking at the scale of the project. Is it something that can be scaled in a longer run? So that's about budget and justification. Most important thing. Now, long journey. We have written a proposal. We have given a absolute excellent LFA. Budget भी हमारा बहुत बढ़िया है. Donor is convinced with your idea. Donor is convinced with your budget. But now they want to understand, do you really have the capacity to execute this project, right? Writing on a paper is one thing. Executing on a ground is a different thing, right? So donor finally will assess कि भाई आपने लिखा तो बहुत अच्छा है, but do you have a capacity to execute this project? Most of the good project proposal as a document fails on ground because organizations don't have that capacity. So in your proposal, you should have a section where you are saying why you have to select me for executing this project. So donor has an option, as I said it earlier. They have another hundreds of organizations doing the similar project. Why they should select you? So there are 3 things that you need to demonstrate in your project proposal. That you have an experience of doing the same project. You have expertise in terms of human resource to execute such projects successfully. And most important, trustworthiness. Trustworthiness is why donor will trust you. So one is the relationship with the donor, but second is also your organization relationship with the field or the target population that you are working. You have an existing relationship with them, right? If I have not done any project in Assam, I am based in Mumbai and I'm writing 5 crore proposal and say, I am going to spend 5 crore in Assam in next 1 year. Why donor will give me? Maharashtra is very different than Assam. Assam का cultural अलग है, Assam का sanitation issues अलग है, Maharashtra का अलग है. If I don't have any experience in Assam and if I'm writing a big proposal, there are very high chances that donor won't trust me, right? So what you need to highlight in this section, track record. Mention past successful projects, especially similar ones. उसके जैसे कितने projects आपने किए हुए. Expertise, introduce your team member and the relevant qualification. If need be, attach CVs of the key personnel. So project manager, your field in charge, 2-3 key members उसके CV को add करिए. Community ties, emphasize what kind of relationships is already built with the target community if you have that. If you already have an existing relation, it will be a big plus for the donor. Then unique position, explain what makes your organization uniquely suited to tackle this problem. So there are hundreds of organizations, why donors will invest in you, right? Why donors will use you as a channel for investing their resources to solve the societal problem. So that's an organizational capacity. Now this is technical. Let's look when I write it in a proposal. Here is an example. HelpGrid Social Sector Solution has been working at the intersection of education, sanitation, and gender for over 25 years. So I am giving my track record that I have worked in these projects which are at an intersection of education, sanitation, and gender for 25 years. Our team has successfully implemented 12 WAS projects, which is water sanitation hygiene project. So similar project for which I am submitting the proposal, I have already done 12 such projects across Gujarat. Because this proposal is in Gujarat, I am giving reference of Gujarat. I already worked in Gujarat, benefiting over 10,000 women and girls. Then I am giving my expertise. Our project lead, Mr. Rima Patel, is a civil engineer with 15 years of experience in community-led sanitation infrastructure project. I will attach the CV of that project manager. We have established strong partnership with the 4 target school administrations. So the schools that I'm going to work is not the new for me. I have already established the partnership. I already had a discussion with the local panchayat and leaders, ensuring that community ownership and project sustainable from day one. So donor will not anticipate any problem or conflict between the implementing agency and the community that I am going to serve. So such a kind of paragraph, 2-3 lines will build a confidence. So this is about talking organizational capacity. I will just take a break to check the chat box if there is any question or concern. Okay, I don't see any questions. If there are any questions, please add to the chat box or you can unmute and even click out here. Perfect. Let's move ahead. I think time is going fast. So that's an organizational capacity. Now that completes the proposal. Now what I'm going to talk is about icing on the cake. How you can make your proposal more appealing, more unique, right? So most important thing is aligning your proposal with sustainable development goals. Again, this is if I will request participants to let me know, are you familiar with sustainable development goal? If yes, just type 1 in the chat box. If no, just type 2. If people are familiar, then we won't spend much of the time on it. Quickly, if we can do it. Sustainable development goal. Perfect. Many of you are familiar with it. Anticipated here. Great. Okay. So till now, all positive response, which means that I can move a little bit fast on this aspect. So these are the sustainable development goals. There are 17 sustainable development goals, and why this is important. Now, increasingly, and this is something that is internationally followed. It was established in 2050 by United Nations member states, and now all the development work across the countries are monitored. Progress is monitored using this 17 sustainable goals. So your project should always have a mention about sustainable development goal. If you are doing a project with sustainable goal, it's going to contribute. Why it is important? First of all, aligning proposal with sustainable goals, the SDG provide a universal framework for understanding. So if you are writing a proposal for an international donor, SDG will be extremely important. It will show that you are solving a local uses, but you are addressing a global challenge, right? So that is important. Many donors and even the government now are submitting their report against the sustainable development goal. For example, the government of India has to provide data against the sustainable development goal to an UN every year, that how we have progressed. Same way, all the donor agencies are submitting report to the government. Like for example, under CSR also, corporate social responsibility funding, sustainable development goal is now getting mandatory. And the last point that you will see, India has shown progress in its sustainable development goal, achieving its best ever global rank. From 167 country, we are 99th. A jump from 109 to 99. So there has been progress, but we are not in a very good situation from sustainable development goal. So government, whatever we are doing, if we are aligning with the sustainable development goal, then there are higher chances that donor and government funding will prefer it. If you are writing a research grant for a government for government funding, then sustainable development goals makes a huge impact. Here is the current status. India's SDG rank improves. So for every sector, they have so green arrow upward indicates that we are making a progress. If it is horizontal, then we are almost at the same level. If arrow is downside, then probably you are not making action. If you see climate action, we are really not doing in terms of sustainable goal. We are really doing well. I think only thing is reducing inequality is something that we have been making progress. Most of the cases, mild progress has been made. I think knowledge about sustainable goal is extremely important. There is a website that you can go to. The link is provided in my presentation, but yeah, so here is a website if you can see sdgs.un.org.goals. So this will give an information about all 17 goals. Go to a particular goal. For example, if I'm taking, let's say, let's open quality education. If I go here, then it also gives me a list of indicators that I'm using to monitor the goals. So you can check the details and everything. I'm not going to the detail, but I will strongly recommend everybody to at least check this website if they are new to the Sustainable Development Goal. It's very self-explanatory. My internet is not really good, so it's taking some time. If you go here, there is a target and indicator section where you can say how government and UN agencies are monitoring the target. You can use it for your own proposal writing also. You can use this targets and indicator for your proposal writing also. Okay, so that's about Sustainable Development Goal. Moving ahead, strategically aligning proposal with the donor priority. Now this is different. Now every donor, when they decide to invest in this social development, they have their own theory of change. If you go to their website, they will write that what they believe in, what are the problems important for them, what kind of project they will prefer it. So always go to the donor website, try to understand what is their theory of change. Adapt their impact definition. They have their own definition. For example, a donor working in an education sector will use terminology improved learning outcome. So they are interested in improved learning outcome. So when I am writing a proposal, one of the indicators that I will use will be improved learning outcome. If my terminology are aligning with donor terminology, donor will find it easy to understand and feel it more comfortable approving the grant, right? So essentially what we are saying, speak their language, try to speak their language. Whatever donor is speaking, try to use their language. But for that, it is extremely important that we are understanding their language. We have to do some research. You can't just start writing a proposal. If you're writing a proposal for a donor agency, spend around 2 hours, 3 hours to go through different web pages, their theory of changes, try to understand their language, and then frame a partnership in a way that when they are reading your proposal, they feel that this is a perfect partner. They think in my way, they are aligned with my objectives, they are aligned with my goal, and there will be natural acceptance of your proposal. So this is extremely important, strategically aligning proposal with donor priorities. Okay, so this was all about proposal, how to write proposal. So again going back to the journey, I think when we started, we said structure of the proposal. We spent almost, I think, little more than 60 minutes to understand how to write a problem statement. Then we discussed about goals and objective, methodology and approach, logical framework analysis, budget and justification. And then we talk about how to align the proposal with SDG and donor priority to make your proposal unique, right? If you are aligning with donor priority and if you are giving SDG language and if, let's say, other organizations are not doing it, you have a very high probability of getting selected. Today also, I will say that almost 50% of the proposals that I get to review don't have any alignment with SDGs. They don't mention even the SDGs in their proposals. Beside having very common knowledge about the SDGs, they don't try. Most of the donors have even not visited the donor. Most of the implementing agencies have not even visited the donor website to understand how donor thinks about social investment. and that the language that they are writing the proposal, they don't use the donor language, then there is a very less probability of project proposal being selected. So you have to work hard, you have to do a secondary research, you have to do a primary research to write a proposal. So that's all about proposal. Now we have learned to write a good proposal, or at least we have understood what good proposal looks like, how to write a good proposal, but where money is going to come from, right? At the end of the day, we all want to mobilize the resources. So next 20 minutes, we will spend on resource mobilization. Any question till now before we move to resource mobilization? You can type in the chat box or unmute and just let me know.
Sir,
Yes,
can you possibly share your email address with us too?
I will do that. So the presentation that I will share, the email address is mentioned. So organizer will share you, and at the end of the presentation, we will also have. I will also share my LinkedIn ID. You can connect with me for any further clarification that you require. I'm more than happy to help you with any future assignment in my volunteer capacity also. Okay, so there are few questions. Let me just go through it. Sir, please provide knowledge on finding. Yes, so that's the next question. ऐसा आएगा कहाँ से, where we can find money from. And could you please once again share the website address slide once again? I will do that, ma'am. Sir, what is the donor language? Okay, what is donor language? So donor is how donor is defining the social impact, how donor is defining the change, right? So donor language, both of you are going to speak English language only. It's about how I articulate my idea, right? When you are writing a proposal, it is your way of articulating the problem. It is your way of articulating the impact. Similarly, donor also have their way of articulating the problem and the impact, which might be different from your language. So though we might be addressing the same problem, we might be using the different language. So just to someone mic is unmute, if they can mute it, please. There is some background noise coming. Yeah, so if we read the donor website or donor annual report, or if we even talk to the donor, then we will understand how they look at a problem, how they look at an impact. Once you have a good understanding, best way is to look at a website. You will get their strategy plan, you will get their funding, and try to use that language. Now, I'm not saying you have to copy them, right? You have to understand how they are thinking, and your articulations will be aligned with that process. That's the donor language, essentially. Okay, now funding opportunities. So, and I will focus for India only. So, where the funds come from? So, one major category is major Indian philanthropic foundations. So, these are the foundations which are heavily investing on the social development. Like biggest foundation, if you today talk about, it's Tata Trust. From years, they are investing in the social development. Azim Premji Foundation, you might have heard about it. Reliance Foundation, Infosys Foundation, Wipro Foundation, Win Foundation, Shiv Nadar Foundation, Piramal Foundation. These are all high net worth. These are all big corporates who have created their foundations to bring in the social change in the society, right? Dasra is an intermediate. Dasra is an intermediate, but a very good intermediate. So what they do, they talk to many donors. They also talk to many implementing organizations, and they do a kind of matchmaking. So if donor is interested to invest in sanitation, rather than reviewing 500 proposals, they will go to Dasra and say, give me the list of 20 organizations who are good at implementing sanitation proposals. So Dasra also does a scanning of good implementing agencies. They keep on meeting good organizations. So they will have their own database. So they will shortlist 20 organizations and give it to the donor. So donor work is reduced. Now instead of publishing the request for proposal, reviewing the 1,000 proposal, donor is only looking at the 20 organization, having one call with the 20 organization and selecting it. So increasing the role of intermediate organization is now increasing in the social development sector. And Dasra is one of the very good intermediate organizations. There are many other like Sapwise there. There is Indian network of civil society organization is there. So Dasra is one of that. I found Dasra good. There are other civil society other network or intermediate organization, but they are more business minded. Dasra keeps social impact as a core to their work, and I prefer that. Then there is an Adelgive Foundation, and then there is a AD Chandra Foundation. You can just put in this name and do a Google search. You will get their website, and I have identified the key focus area. So based on the work that you want to do, if you want to do an academic research, Let's say on healthcare, then probably you will go to the Pyramid Foundation. If you want to do a rural development, you will go to Bharti Foundation or SBI Foundation. If you are working on women and climate change, then probably you will go to an Adelgi Foundation. So these are the major Indian philanthropic foundations. They are investing in crores every year. I will come to that number, but there is a huge money being flowing for the social development. And my experience says that there are donor organizations who wants to invest, but they are unable to find a good implementing partner. I interact with donor and they say that we are unable to spend because we get a huge number of proposals, but we don't get the good organization. So they are not only looking for a good proposal, they are also looking for a good organization, right? So today training is about writing a good proposal, but for you to get fund, it's not only necessary that you write a good proposal. You need to be good implementing organization also. If you're not good implementing organization, write a good proposal, you might be shortlisted, but after interacting, after giving one grant, they might not repeat it. So fundamental that you have to do good work and then write a good proposal. Sometimes we do hard and good work, but we don't write a good proposal and we don't get money, right? So this kind of webinar, workshop, or the sessions are the people who are really putting a good effort on ground, but they don't know how to write good proposal. Then you are already doing a good work. Only thing is that start articulating proposal in the way that we have discussed, and there is a very high probability that you will receive more. So good work is prerequisite. Writing good funding proposal and not doing good work on ground won't help you to mobilize sustainable funding, right? So let's keep that in mind. Now another opportunity. So many of you might be aware about corporate social responsibility. So a law was passed in 2013, which is called a CSR law, which has opened up a new door of funding for implementing organizations and academic institutions for exploring the research funding and implementing funding. What does this law say? So it's a mandatory for the companies to spend 2% of their average net profit from the three immediate preceding financial year on CSR activities. So CSR activities is corporate social responsibility activity. So what government said that you are making huge profit by doing their business, by doing your business, and your clients are in this society, but there are sections of the society who require financial resources for the social development. So now you have to invest 2% of your profit for the social development. Now there are companies who are making profit in thousands, right? 50,000, 60,000 annual profit. 2% translated into such a big amount, right? So who are those companies? So the criteria is either company, any one of the criteria if it is fulfilled. The net worth of the company has to be 500 crore or more, or turnover has to be 1,000 crore or more, or net profit has to be 5 crore or more. If any one of these criteria has been fulfilled, then it is mandatory for them to invest 2% of their profit, which means that they have to give it to the implementing agency or directly implement the project. Now, people who are doing business, they generally don't prefer to get into the implementation because they are more interested in making more profit. So they generally give it as a CSR grant. Now, this is mandatory spending, and people are unable to spend CSR in today's time. They say that we have money, but we are unable to find good organization. Total CSR spending was around 30,000 crore in financial year 2022-2023. I don't have the latest update number, but it should be on the higher side than what I'm presenting it now. The maximum funding is going to the education sector from the CSR funding, followed by environment and sustainability, which includes your climate change projects and environmental projects, followed by vocational skill training program. To explore this funding, where you need to go in this CSR website. So CSR have their own foundation, or they will publish the request for proposal on different foundation, which I will say, right? But CSR is a huge funding. And increasingly now government of India wants to reduce their reliance on the foreign funding. They want the Indian corporates to invest more on the social development. So future of the funding is going to be the Indian funding. Today, a lot of foreign funding is coming, but you might all have heard that there are strict FCRA regulation coming in by the government, which means that in future your foreign funding flow it has already reduced by 20-25%. In future it will reduce it. So it's important that everybody start exploring the Indian funding, which is a corporate social responsibility, a big opportunity here. Look at the companies with the highest CSR spending in INR. So these are the top 10 companies. HDFC Bank is spending around 945 crores. Reliance Industries is spending around 900 crores. Similar big names are there. And these are top 10 funding. There are around, I think, 1,000 plus organizations for which CSR is mandatory. You have to just get the list of that organization. It's available in the public domain. Go to their annual report. If you go to the HDFC Bank annual report, they will have a section on the CSR reporting. This is mandatory for them to report. And they will say how much they have invested. Like 144 crores, they will give the breakup. Which sectors they have invested, which are the organizations that they have given this money to, and what has been impact, right? So if you go to this website, download their report, you will be able to understand which geographical area they are investing, what kind of projects they invest, which are the organizations that they have already given the funding to. Talk to this organization, try to understand their experience of submitting proposal to HDFC Bank, and then you draft a proposal. But what I'm trying to say, this is not a magic data. This all data is available in public domain. You can also access it, right? And this data is coming from a CSR box. You can type CSR box and you will get all the details. So this is a publicly available data. You don't, and these data are compiled every year by CSR box. Just go to their website and get it. Now, major international funding. So till now we have talked about funding available from Indian sources. Funding available from international sources. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are heavily investing in public health, sanitation, financial inclusion, agriculture. Then there is an organization called Omidyar Foundation. There is an organization called Michel and Susan Dell Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Skoll Foundation. I have given the top names. There is a long list which you can get it. You just need to type and go to the website to understand when they are publishing the request for proposal, whether they have a template or not, and start talking to it. But foreign funding, it is important that your organization is having FCRA registration. So that's Foreign Contribution Regulatory Authority. You require that registration approval from the government to receive the foreign funding. In case your NGO or your academic institution doesn't have an FCRA, then international fundings are not for you. So most of the NGOs do have FCRA, not most of, but big NGOs do have FCRA, and they can apply for this funding. If you don't have an FCRA, then you have to rely on Indian philanthropy, CSR, which is not bad, I will say. You don't have to worry if you don't have an FCRA. There is a huge funding available in both those earlier categories. Besides that, there is the key bilateral and multilateral agencies. They will give it to the government, and then government will work with an NGO. USAID. Now USAID is out because has already stopped all the fundings on the climate. USAID office has also been closed. So ignore the first one. United Kingdom is that World Bank is investing in a big way. But they won't directly to an organizations, NGOs. They will give it to the government body, and the government will then implement it through academic institutions or the NGO. So there will be an opportunity for you to contribute and receive some consultancy fees or a funding opportunity through government or through other projects. So this is bilateral and multilateral agencies who are funding. Now, where to get the resources from? So these are the few websites I will recommend that you can regularly go. One is Funds for NGO. This is really nice website. Let me go to the website and show you how it works. Okay, so Funds for NGO. It's an international website that will have funding for India and all other countries. And there is a free version and there is a paid version. What you are saying is a paid version, so it will have a better detail. I am using the paid version. You can select the country. So if you are in India, you select India. Areas of interest. So whether you want to work in art and culture, agriculture, maybe climate change, whatever it is, children, civil society development, construction, democracy, whatever it is. And these are the grant opportunities. You can click and it will provide further details. So basic details is provided that grant size is around 1,000 to 10,000, submission date, deadline, everything is there, right? So you have to do some net research, identify the proposals which are relevant to your need, and then start applying it. Right? If you really can invest in, if you want to raise grant, I will say invest in the subscription version. It will cost you around 5,000, 7,000 Indian rupees. But even if you are successfully applying one grant, that amount is recovered, right? So sometimes it's good to make some investment. Free version doesn't provide you all the grant opportunity, not all the details. So invest if need be. If you can afford it, if your organization allows, I think it's worth doing that. Second is NGO box. So this is an Indian version. The CSR box I was referring to, it's the same organization. Even NGO box does have the grant funding opportunity. Let me see if that tab is open. No. No, so you can go to the NGO box. I have limited time, so I'm just trying to move a little bit more quickly. And then you can also look at the government funding. So particularly for the research, I think ICSSR, Department of Science and Technology, they have the funding. If you can go to the NGO Darpan, it's the Government of India website where all NGOs are listed, grant opportunities are also listed. Then you can go to the company CS, for example, SBI Foundation, and I would spend some time just to help you understand that how they're investing. SBI Foundation, it's the SBI Foundation website, right? So if I go to the request for proposal section, these are all requests for proposal that they have listed out. Women empowerment project, right? You download the request for proposal, they will have the criteria, proposal template, timeline, everything. Look at the list, long list that they have. Conservation, adoption of the solar power. You have to just look at the title relevant to you, download the document, read the details, do secondary research, try to identify what SBI is funding. So this is only one foundation, SBI. Go to HDFC Bank, go to Reliance Foundation, and just have a look at the kind of project they are funding. And this is all free. You don't have to pay for it. These are all available on the company's website. So no need to invest any additional resources for it. So I have listed out few opportunities, resources here. Please explore it. Now, again, for the conclusion, identification, the right funding sources. So go beyond home pages. So go to their website, but read their report also. Many times we don't have time, so we go to the website, download the RFP, and then start submitting the proposal. I strongly recommend to review their annual report. And then in the annual report, you will find the list of the current and past grantees. This will help you to understand what kind of organization they are running, because there are foundations who just prefer to fund the small organization. By small organization, I mean the annual budget of the implementing organization is less than 1 crore or 2 crore. There are organizations who will just fund large organizations. For example, if you talk about Tata Trust, the majority of funding is to the organization whose annual budget is more than 5 CR, 7 CR, sorry. Right? So they prefer small, they do fund large organizations. So 70% goes to the organization with annual budget of more than. So you understand what kind of preference they have. And then you can shortlist it. Analyze the peer organization. So I am an NGO whom they have funded. I'm based in Ahmedabad. So are there any other organization in Ahmedabad whom they have funded? Then I will go and meet to their organization to understand their experience. So I will talk to the organization who are already supported by that to understand what is their priority. Most important, confirm the thematic and geographical match. So every organization has a thematic preference. Like few organizations will always only fund climate change projects. Few will fund only education. Few will fund only skill development. Few will fund education and only in, let's say, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh or Maharashtra and Gujarat. So you need to make sure if you have an operation in Gujarat, first of all, you have to say whether that organization is funding projects in Gujarat. If no, then don't explore anything else. This will be out in their annual report. Then look at the thematic area. So it's a combination of geographical match and thematic area. Many times when I review proposal, I get a proposal from, let's say, Tamil Nadu, and in RFP it is clearly written that we are only funding in Maharashtra and Gujarat. That proposal will directly been rejected. So don't invest your time if donor has clearly indicated that our priority is only Maharashtra and Gujarat. We are not funding in Tamil Nadu. You are wasting your time. This preference will be more important in CSR because corporate social responsibility generally they will fund where they will have their manufacturing plant or they will have their huge client base. For example, if Reliance is having their big manufacturing unit in Jamnagar in Gujarat, they will invest a lot in Jamnagar. HDFC has a bank across India. So for them, geography will not matter. For them, the sector will matter. So HDFC, for example, they have a big project in rural area called Parivartan. Across India, they are giving thousands of grants in rural development, right? So try to understand what is their donor preference, right? So this is something important. Build personal connection. Now, sometimes you write a good proposal, but what I earlier referred to as trustworthiness, right? So one thing is meeting that person, having an in-person meeting with your grant manager. So there are now CSR managers are important. Donors are also appointing the grant manager, and these people do participate in workshop and conferences at national level and international level, right? So identify such conference and workshop where most of these grant making agencies are participating. You should also go there and then meet them in person. Introduce yourself, your organization. If I go and say help with social sector solution, if I met the grant manager 5 times, talked about my work, given some document, and after 6 months, if I'm submitting a proposal, that person will recognize me, right? there is a higher probability of your grant getting approval if you have made a personal repo. 99% of the organization are not putting in any efforts to make a personal repo. I strongly encourage that try to make person. See, at the end of the day, human beings build relationship with human being and not a paper document, right? So paper document is the starting point, but if you know that person, if you have interacted person, and when we are interacting, don't interact for just money. Interact that we are working in a same sector and there is something that we can learn from each other. If you always meet that person and ask for money, then he will stop meeting you, right? So relationship building is how we can complement each other, how we can support each other. And when there is a need, you submit a proposal. Leverage your network. Talk to board member. If you have a good influential person on your board member, he or she might be knowing another grant making agency or CSR manager. We can introduce you and then you can have a meeting. Look for an open call. So look for a request for proposal. There are many websites that I have said where request for proposals are available. So if you're really seeking grant, my humble suggestion would be spend around 4 hours every week to look for request for proposal, to identify a proposal and start writing it. That's the best way of creating successful proposal and increasing the probability of receiving grant. That's all from my side. I will stop here and my contact details are on this slide. You can contact me on the LinkedIn. My QR code is there. Also, I'm volunteering. I have created a WhatsApp group. You can connect me over a WhatsApp group. What this WhatsApp group will do, I will share the grant opportunities on that WhatsApp group. I will share the training opportunities on that WhatsApp group, and I will also share some materials that you can use it. So if you are interested, you can join this WhatsApp group. Not very frequently. I'm quite busy, but as good opportunities are identified, I will share it on the WhatsApp group. You have my email also in the proposal, so you can get it and you can also connect me on the LinkedIn. So I will stop my presentation here. I think instead of 20 minutes, we only have now 8 minutes for question and answer. Apologies for that. I am okay extending this session by 5-10 minutes if the organizer is okay. If you have any questions, any comments, please drop it in the chat box or just unmute and talk to me. Back to you, Dr. Raj.
Hello, excuse me, sir. Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, madam, you are audible. Dr. Katal.
Yeah, sir. My question to you is that